Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Christensen. I'm joined with Jordan Christensen.
Geronimo.
It was on the wall when I got here. That is so
unbelievable.
Funny. Pictures of her. Oh my gosh. I love how illogical that is. I love that. We're going to talk about that. And we've got on the podcast Dr. Clinton Westover.
Hey guys, stole mine, so screw everybody.
It was all... That's so funny. All right. We're talking about a crazy movie today on the podcast. Whose idea was it to do this movie before I even get into it? Was this your movie, Jordan?
Oh, this movie's amazing. I love this movie. I saw it once on Netflix. Well, I'll get into that in a second. Well, do you want me to get into it?
Okay, I'll just give the quick rundown. Today we're discussing conspiracy theory. As I say it now, that word has like a whole new meaning right now in 2021. Like, I thought I was a conspiracy theorist, and then I watched Mel Gibson being so unhinged in this movie, and then all I could think was, how on earth did he fool everyone into thinking that he ever had his shiz together? Like, this guy is... he's not acting. He's just crazy. Like, genuinely crazy. And it made me think, like, how funny is it that he had everyone fooled to thinking that Mel Gibson was a sane person?
And
oh my gosh.
Do you know who made this? Dude, Richard Donner made Maverick, the Lethal Weapon movies, Goonies. Yes. I mean, this guy has the Superman movies. I mean, he's stacked with good movies. Like,
yeah, he's the I don't know what to say about this. Okay, so this movie came out in 1997. It was directed by Richard Donner, written by Brian Helgeland, if I'm saying that right. Stars Mel Gibson, Julia Roberts, Patrick Stewart,
back again,
Silk Cozart, Steve Kahn, Terry Alexander, Alex MacArthur, Rod McClane, Michael Potts, Jim Sterling, Rich Herbert, Brian J. Williams, and a few others.
I'm surprised Patrick Stewart hasn't been typecasted as a villain, because gosh dang, he is such a good villain in all movies.
No, see, when I saw Green Room, I thought that was his foray into becoming a villain, because I know he's always done Star Trek and kind of played the good guy in a lot of things. I watched this and I was like, holy cow. Like,
and Xavier. And
it was great to see X-Men. Him. But to everyone's credit, this movie is so weird. We got to get into it. Okay. Let's go around and say, what was it like? Let's give a quick plot synopsis. I've got it here unless, Jordan, you want to read it?
No, go.
Okay, a taxi driver with a penchant for conspiracy theories becomes a target after one of these theories turns out to be true. Unfortunately, to save himself, he has to figure out which theory it is. If that plot synopsis sounded cheesy and corny or over the top, that's exactly what this movie is. It is more over the top and cheesy than you could possibly imagine. I'm talking like taping your eyelids open. Ridiculous. He sees people at the end of the hallway.
Well, you notice that was a mirror, and he was seeing a reflection of Patrick Stewart running at him.
This was so bonkers. Okay, yeah. So let's say, what was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Let's start with you, Jordan. I think you're probably the only one that's seen this multiple times.
Well, no. So Clinton actually, and this is the reason I wanted to do this podcast, is because Clinton has showed it to most of the family. And I'll let him talk about that. But anyways, the first time I saw it was on Netflix, loved it. And then I watched it later. I saw it in the $5 bin on iTunes. I bought it, and then after talking to Clinton...
You mean this movie was on a bargain? I don't believe it. Selling like hotcakes.
We just did a Goonies recently on the podcast, and you'll recognize a lot of the cheesiness from that in this. Like, you can tell it's made by the same director, because there's just a ton of really fun stuff, like constantly making you laugh. Like, I don't know. I'm going to get right into the movie, but I just wanted to say I love this movie. It's hilarious, fun, and I can't believe it's rated R, because it is very tame for a rated R. So
I'm surprised this movie doesn't get like a XXX rating now, because, conspiracy theories are really harmful, guys. And there are people not as intelligent as all of us here that could listen to conspiracy theories and do something harmful, you know? That's why we got to limit our speech. We got to limit everything that's being said right now. I thought I was crazy for thinking the election was stolen. And then I hear 5 minutes of Mel Gibson at the opening credits going through all the crazy shit that he believes in. And I think I'm probably the most sane person on earth. As I said, Mel Gibson, he never had his crap together, okay? This guy's always been crazy. It just surprises me that everyone's like, wow, I can't believe that Mel Gibson's crazy. It's like, have you seen Conspiracy Theory? Have you seen some of the other films he stars in? He's always crazy. He's unhinged. I'm surprised he didn't star in Unhinged. Russell Crowe stole that from Mel Gibson, man. It's hard for him to get work nowadays. As soon as his eyelids get taped open, it feels like a whole quarter of the movie goes by where his eyelids are taped open.
Well, and it happens early on too. Like I would have thought they were going to build up to it not being a conspiracy theory, by the end. But right at the beginning, like he gets kidnapped and he right away gets interrogated. You're like, oh shoot, he was real.
I didn't know if he was a reliable narrator to the director's credit. I actually thought maybe this was all imagined because he had a flashback before it happened. We got to get into this later, but anyway, we'll talk about it. So awesome. Clinton, how about you? What was it like watching it for the first time and rewatching it for the pod?
I saw it as a kid when it first came out, and I thought it was amazing. I was like, this movie's hilarious, and this is rated R. Am I allowed to watch this? And there's nothing bad in it, so I was like, I guess it's okay. The second time I watched it was with your parents, because we were all together trying to figure out what to watch, and I was like, I have no idea what we can watch together that everybody will like. And I picked Conspiracy Theory, and they're like, rated R, and I'm like, it's fine. I don't know why it's rated R. Yeah, so it's a great movie. I really like it. It's a little slow, but it's kind of an older movie, so that's to be expected.
Yeah, I watched this movie for the first time 2 nights ago, and oh boy, I don't know what to say about this movie except for the fact that I don't know if I ever care to see it again. And honestly, this is so ridiculous. Like, I know a lot of movies are like, okay, I'm just going to start with the poster. When I looked at the poster for the image of the movie, talk about what I would call false advertisement. Like, for some reason, Mel Gibson looks put together and worried and concerned on the movie poster. Like, he looks stoic. They might as well have just had him on the poster with his eyelids taped back. Like, that would have been a more accurate representation of the time that he spends in this film. And oh my gosh, so many nitpicks with this movie. Okay, so this movie was a crazy ride. I don't know what to think about this film. I'm not surprised that it got made. I'm just surprised that it was like all these people coming together, like Julia Roberts, Mel Gibson. No wonder we don't hear about this movie anymore. It's like, I mean, you would think it would be super relevant today with all the, like, you can believe whatever truth you want to. There's an internet group out there for all your sycophantic, messed up belief system. Like, I'm not kidding. Like,
oh yeah,
people
believe in flat earths and all that stuff.
You believe in Scientology. It's actually a religion. You believe in all these crazy, kooky, wacky things, and there's a group out there online that exists, and you can join that group. This movie is so weird. This movie made me feel weird. I don't even know if I can make this more clear. So let's get right into it. Let's say 2 of our favorite things from this movie, and let's go around. Start with Jordan.
Shoot. Obviously, Mel Gibson's performance was my favorite part of this. And then...
Is it a performance, though?
It is. Like, I love when he acts crazy. I love... that iconic scene with his eyelids taped to open, like, that is something I will never be able to forget. It was just like, I don't know if it was supposed to be scary. I don't know if this is supposed to be a thriller or an action flick, but it's totally a comedy. At least I think it is. I think it's, like, the funniest movie ever. I just love, even when he, like, after he's, like, hooked all that stuff to those police cars, and then he's just, like, standing and watching, and then he's like, oh, and he, like, runs off. Like, I don't know. I love humor like that. I just think this...
Well, to your credit, again, you don't know whether you consider it a comedy. Like, I feel like they were being totally straight-faced. The IMDb has it as an action mystery thriller, Nowhere do they mention comedy. Like, they were like, you're supposed to take this and be like straight-faced thriller. Like, it's not.
Yeah, but Ty, did you ever, when you were in Chile, did you ever work in, the city?
Oh, like proselyte in the city? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, because I just felt like he's just another nutcase in the city. Like, there's tons of people like him. So I don't know. I just almost found it like an interesting character study of just somebody that's out of their freaking mind.
Well, no, I agree. But what I'm saying is, like, those people are humorous to me. Like, watching a homeless guy kicking a can down the street while he's yelling obscenities, it makes me laugh.
That's what I'm saying.
It's sad and it's pitiful.
That was this movie. He's just completely nuts, and I think it's hilarious. Everything about it.
I understand you're saying it's hilarious. I find it hilarious too. This movie makes me laugh out loud. I think this is one of the greatest unintentional comedies of 1990s. Just surprised that I just never hear of it. This movie, it's just wild. So anyway, I totally agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, I'm confused and conflicted as whether I'm laughing now, but I'm like, back in the 90s when people watched this, did they think, wow, like, what a riveting movie? Like they must have been laughing their ass off. I think. I don't know. Maybe they weren't. Clinton, you saw it a long time ago. Were you laughing as a kid? You're probably terrified.
Like, I remember it wasn't like a huge movie back then either. It wasn't, it wasn't like Lethal Weapon or any of those huge films. Like you said, nobody's heard of this film. Like, it came out and it was quickly forgotten.
I'm just obsessed with Mel Gibson. I'll watch anything he does. Like, I love his movies so much.
Is that partially just because you think he looks a lot like Dad?
Well, that's part of it. But no, honestly, it's because he's a great actor. And I love crazy people. Like, he just plays such a great psychopath. Everything from Mad Max to Lethal Weapon to this movie. Or The Beaver. He's out of his freaking mind.
The Beaver, you made me watch that movie, dude.
Oh, you're going to watch it again. I'm doing it on the pod. I love Mel Gibson. Love Mel Gibson. I loved it.
Oh, I enjoyed it too. I just feel like I enjoyed it for the wrong reasons. Maybe that. Like, I almost feel like I enjoyed it in spite of the movie. Does that make sense? Maybe they were being totally self-referential. Like, maybe it is tongue-in-cheek and people can laugh about it, but it doesn't say it's a satire. I mean,
but it feels
like a satire.
But if you watch Goonies in this movie, which we did back-to-back, it's literally the same movie. It's just for adults, but it's not for adults. It's like a kid movie.
Maybe, but again, it's like, like I said, I honestly feel like this is a satire of, like, crime, drama, mystery. It feels like I'm watching Hot Shots or whatever that movie was. Like, I feel like I'm watching a parody of a conspiracy theory movie. Clinton, how about you, man? Two of your favorite things.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of this movie is you think he's crazy, and then he's not crazy, and then he's a murderer, and then he's not a murderer. Like, I think they go back and forth really well. That's probably my favorite part of the film. You're just kind of thrown off balance the whole time. And let's see. Yeah, other things I liked how resourceful he was, how he, like, burns down his own apartment. And I like how I like how he has weird things about him too, where he, like, has to buy Catcher in the Rye. Just little things like that like really highlight how crazy he is and messed up, and I don't know how the government just messed with his head.
Well, there's nothing better than somebody, like, you think they're crazy and then them realizing they're not. It just goes back to the Shutter Island thing, where it's like, even if he isn't crazy, just the fact that
Cameron's sitting there and he's, like, taking notes, like, yeah, I always thought fluoride in the drinking water was a bad idea. So funny. I would say my two favorite things is how quotable this is. There were a few funny things. Like, I mean, this movie genuinely made me laugh a lot, like, out loud. And again, for a movie called Conspiracy Theory, I guess if I would love to meet Richard Donner and just ask him, be like, honestly, like, if you could look back at it now, maybe he would be like, oh yeah, I was going for, like, a over the top. Because it is so over the top, and that's what makes it so funny. Like, this is one of the few movies where everything is just better the more it is. So, like, you're right. He goes from, like, being like conspiracy, like, he's driving the cab, and when he's talking to people, you're like, he's saying silly things. Like, he seems to know a lot about a lot of things, jack of all trades kind of thing. And then all of a sudden he's talking, and all of a sudden he goes, wait, no one's in the cab behind me. No one's in here with me. Why is the meter running? Who am I talking to? Like, it's so funny. And that's when I was like, oh, like, I laughed out loud. I was like, that's really funny. But then I thought, like, okay, so how reliable is he of a narrator? We're going to follow his story. And that's when I kind of thought, oh, this is not at all what I expected. I guess I just expected, Mel Gibson, Julia Roberts.
Oh.
They're going to be like two detectives or something, or journalists undercovering something. I'm like, no. This movie should be called The Conspiracy Theorist. Like, I would have understood that Mel Gibson, I never saw a trailer for this. And I knew nothing about this going into it. Maybe that's part of I just hear the title Conspiracy Theory. I'm like, oh, like starring Mel Gibson, Julia Roberts. It's going to be like a crime action thriller, whatever. And people are going to be after them. After the first 5 minutes, I was like, what? They're so quotable. That's my second favorite thing. All the lines delivered by Mel Gibson and all the other characters in this movie.
Well, and there's so many golden moments. I love the scene, this going off of what you said in the taxi at the very beginning when the guy is trying to get in the car, and then he looks over and sees him in a suit, and he like takes a picture and then drives away.
Snaps a photo of him, and the guy's like, what the freak? It's so funny.
Hey, Ty,
oh my gosh.
Before you finish, Clinton, would you recommend this movie, and any final thoughts before you go to bed? And nitpicks, yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Which one should I start off with?
Start with nitpicks.
Nitpicks. I think everything having to do with Julia Roberts' character bothered me. Like, okay. I don't know why she was interested in him. Like, generally, if a person's crazy, you're not, like, into them, right?
Thank you. Yeah. Again, I'm going to get into all of that.
Yeah. Also, she became, like, this superhero cop person, like, punching people with guns and, like, banging people's heads into walls. And I'm like, her character doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and then she just totally blew Patrick Stewart away. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I think they did on Mythbusters. They can only travel so far. So I don't know how deep he was and how close it is to the water. Anyway,
yeah,
that's beside the point how ridiculous it was. I totally agree, Clinton. Why on earth would Julia Roberts, like, you've been in my office 12 times. 8. What? 8 times. I've been in here 8 times. Like, red flag going up here, Like, I don't trust someone that's literally counted every single interaction we've had together. Like, I don't know.
They try to justify it by,
watches you while you run on your treadmill and sweat and work out. That's just so messed up, dude.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Yeah, she's like, oh, he saved me from a mugging, so...
Because he's watching you 24/7.
Yeah.
Who knows if he didn't arrange the mugging himself? Nacho Libre style. I like the whole, like, Patrick Stewart poking holes in this. I thought that was really fun. Like, that's actually what the movie benefits from. Like, that's another one of my favorite things. But in the end, I love those things about it. This was so fun. Clinton, would you recommend this film?
It depends. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I would. It's a hard one to recommend. It's okay. It'd be like, you want to watch a movie that's okay. It'll make you laugh. Like, I really enjoy it, and it's kind of... It has some good twists in it, but at the same time, there are better movies in the world.
Which is why we're spending our time reviewing it on our movie podcast.
Well, it's the perfect B movie. I think it's hilarious and really fun. And I don't think anybody's seen it, so...
Yeah, that's for sure.
Clinton, do you have any final thoughts before you go?
Let's see, final thoughts. No, it really was a fun film. Like, it is fun to watch, and apparently it's timeless.
I think so.
Yeah, no, it's great. I never quite... I know the whole thing's called conspiracy theory, and he says a bunch of conspiracies that are true, but at the same time, the one that he's involved in, is that really a conspiracy, or is it just a murder? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm getting right into my nitpicks and quotes. Okay.
Wait. Do you have anything else, Clinton, before, or do you want to get going? Because you got to get to sleep or not?
Oh, thanks for having me on. This was fun, guys.
Can't believe you're being all responsible, Doctor.
Good night.
Crazy.
Been embarrassed too many times. Good night.
All right, night.
Peace. Okay, so let's get into two of our Or let's see. Yeah, let's. I guess we should get into nitpicks. Yeah.
Well, I just love when they hit that one cop every time, and he falls to the ground. And he's like, "Are you actually knocked out?
Are you playing? Yeah. Are you really knocked out? No, I'm not really knocked out." When did Red Bull become a thing? And when did they start marketing like Red Bull gives you wings, Red Bull make you fly? Like, he says, love gives you wings, love can make you fly. Like, Mel Gibson keeps saying that, and I was like, later in the movie, he started quoting that song. I actually knew the song. I can't even think of it now, but he was he's like, your love, or something. I can't remember what he said. He was singing a song that I knew, and then Julie Roberts is like, oh, that's a song lyric. And he's like, oh, I know, I'm just nervous, and I'm saying, so I'm like, did the love gives you wings, love can make you fly? Is that from Red Bull? I know Red Bull uses it. Did they get it from this movie? Are they completely independent things?
My whole favorite sequence is obviously when he's in the chair with the eyes taped open, but when he's running away, like inching away in the thing, and he goes down the stairs and hits the guy out the window, he's like, oh, he's flying.
He's flying. No, you hit him out the window. Yeah, he's flying. I literally wrote that down, and then I put those eyelids though, and then it said, what is that? When he's looking at the shot, and he goes, it's gravy for the brain. And then he goes, no, I've had gravy. I've had gravy. What is he talking about?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
He's flying. And then another great moment where he's tied up to the hospital bed. He's like, oh, got to chew through my arm. Better than hospital food, I suppose.
She was way too sympathetic for him. I was like, oh man, if she was any other chick, she'd be booking it for the hills.
The one guy he bites in the nose, he's the guy with the tape over his nose. It's just so ridiculous. He's like shows up with a bandage over his nose. Oh, my dog bit it. Oh, it's so funny. It's so over the top. There is no universe in which Julia Roberts falls for this guy. Not when she goes and sees his place. That was the moment where I kind of had a reality check. I was like, there's no way Julia Roberts ends up with Mel Gibson in this movie. When he offers her cream and sugar, and it's literally in a locked refrigerator in a locked box with a combination on it, it's like, yeah, no thanks. Don't need that in my life. I'm becoming like Jerry or whatever his name is.
Isn't it great that his name is Jerry too? Oh, I love it.
I just had to be Jerry. Oh my gosh. I thought it was funny too when like one of the policemen was like when they were like, see, that was the thing where they were like Patrick Stewart's character, Dr. Jonas, they're like, he seems to know a lot about police maneuvers or something like that, or police protocol for being a psychiatrist. There was like a weird scene where one of the cops noticed that he was like, shut down the hospital and check all the exits and everything, and they're all like, wow, he seems to know a lot. But oh my gosh, just look at the images for this movie. Like the very end when she's like cradling him. Oh my gosh, it's so stupid. And then he dies. They bury him. They bury something. There's a grave there. And then she leaves the union pin, the taxi driver pin on his grave tombstone. And then she's riding her horse at the very end, full circle. She gets her character arc. She's back on a horse. And then on the side of her horse saddle is like the stupid union pin. He's alive. She says, that son of a... It's like so stupid. So stupid. Like, oh, Jerry. That's just Jerry being Jerry. Like,
he's stalking me right now. Man, maybe some girls are into that. I don't know. None that I'm aware of.
He's out there stalking me now. Okay, Cameron, to your defense, at first I thought it was ridiculous that she didn't throw him flat out on his butt the first time he shows up at her office, and you find out he's been there like 6 times before. But then I was like, oh, he's like a harmless guy that comes in posing his conspiracy theories on this journalist. I loved that relationship. I did. I was like, oh, that'll be fun. It's like a movie, and she doesn't believe him the whole movie. And then he did something that I was like, whoa, she should be super turned off by that right now. But then you find out that it was the gun waving scene where it's like he's waving a gun, threatening everyone there, and she's just like, put the gun down, Jared. I'm like, yeah, she's like, she tells the police, like, get off of him, get him some air. It's like, what? You just gonna tell the police what to do? No, they probably handcuff you too, lady. He killed her father, didn't he?
No, remember?
Well, he was trained. Wasn't he brainwashed into doing it?
Yeah, he was supposed to, but then
Oh, that's right. He couldn't do it because he saw her. Because they didn't show it. They just told it, which show, don't tell, please. But they literally told it, and that's why it never emotionally registered with me. The whole like, then I saw you. Like again, if they just did a flashback, and I know I don't typically like flashbacks, or just showed the scene earlier in the film before the movie started.
Yeah.
Start with the assassination. That would be a good place to start. Instead, you just have Mel Gibson rambling on. I guess they need.
But they wanted the big twist that you didn't know he was
right.
a sleeper agent.
That's a good point. Yeah, the quotes in this are so ridiculous. Everything's over the top. There's so much to pick apart in this movie, and again, I don't know how much of it was played for humor. I don't know if anything of it. Do you guys have any inkling as to whether or not this was?
It's gotta be.
Comedy?
If you've watched all his other movies, they're all super funny.
Right. Yeah. That's totally fair. But like I said, I'm just impressed that like nowhere does it mention comedy.
I know.
And that's what impressed me because I looked at that poster and like I said, Mel Gibson, Julie Roberts, they have straight faces on. Like they were selling this like it was the action thriller.
And maybe that was the problem. People thought it was going to be more serious or something, or like a Born Identity. I don't know if that was even
right. Yeah, that's actually the thought I had, where I'm like, oh, movies like this like inspired, The Net, Born Identity, those things,
I bet that's what he even said at the pitch meeting. He literally said all those movies, and they're like, I like it.
Half of them hadn't come out before this film, though, so I guess they all ripped it off from here.
Exactly.
And I actually thought this was going to be The Net, and that's why I was kind of excited. Like, our identity would get erased or something like that. But instead, it was like, I'm going to kidnap you and fill your brain with gravy. I don't know.
I just love Ty's like strapping in for a completely different movie and gets this.
Right. So that was what my question was. So he's conspiratorial because he believes all of that stuff, but he has a vision. Oh, but because he was brainwashed once before to assassinate Julia Roberts' father, right? Is that why he had a vision of it and then he ended up living it?
So at what point did you realize you were in for a ride, Ty?
Dude, like I said, it was, let's see.
The opening scene?
Yeah. It was when he was like, oh, who am I talking to? No one's in my cab. That moment, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I think I'm starting to get the humor. But then again, I didn't know where it would take us because I was like, oh, so Mel Gibson is a conspiracy theorist. See, again, like Clinton said, he's like, this movie, like, what is the conspiracy theory that there's people that use him as an assassin? I guess that's what it is, right? It's like people can take ordinary people and make assassins out of them. I mean, Zoolander did that, taking actors and fashion models and turning them into assassins. All the best
things of all the best movies, dude. All the movies were inspired by this.
So funny. Oh, my gosh.
All right.
Unfortunately, to save himself, he has to figure out which theory it is. It's just like, what? He doesn't have to figure out anything. Like, again, Clinton was right. Some of the best things about this are like all the bait and switches where it's like, I'm crazy. No, I'm not. It actually happened. I'm still a little messed up because I got all these problems here. I buy books when I don't have to. I buy the same book over and over. I lace my apartment with explosives and I could burn the whole place down with a firewall. So I don't harm anyone else. See, they had to make him as like harmless as possible. But I'm like, dude, that guy's got so many problems. There's just no.
Well, because he was an assassin before too.
This movie, man.
So good.
My goodness. Well, I've already said my quotes. Do you guys have any other quotes from the movie?
Nope.
All right. Would you recommend this film? Jordan, you go first.
I would, yes. 100%.
I'll have to say I wouldn't recommend this film, but I had a great time watching it. And I don't know. Like, I don't even know who I'd recommend this to right now. Like, I can't name one person on the planet where I'm like, you guys should watch this. I feel like they would take a hard examine at our relationship and be like, do I really need Ty as a friend in my life right now? That's the feeling I feel like they would get after I recommend a movie like this to them. So I would humbly decline recommending this movie. But it was so much fun to talk about. And it is good for a laugh. So, holy cow, if you've got nothing better to do in 2021, watch this film. Okay, so we end every podcast by saying what we've watched lately and what we're looking forward to seeing.
So let's wrap it up.
Okay, everybody, write in your emails. Write us emails or questions, futromoviegems@gmail.com. Leave us a 5-star review and share the podcast with all of your friends and family. Upload the links. You can listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you can get podcasts. Until we're all censored. And take it easy, folks. And don't forget to put on your tinfoil hats. And look out for the lizard people. Oh, real quick. We have to, while on this podcast, what are some of your favorite conspiracy theories, real quick, that you've heard or that you believe? I'll be honest, mine has always been aliens. I love the idea that we've been visited because I want it to be true, but I don't believe it. Like, I know there are aliens that exist. Believe me, we're not the only universe out there. But do I feel like we're being examined? If we're being watched, have aliens appeared? I don't know. Probably not. But I keep hearing like more and more evidence comes out, and people seem nonplussed by it. They're like releasing and what do you call it? They're like declassifying documents, and it's like they really exist. Like aliens are really out there, and it's like, are they really? Jordan, do you have any conspiracy theories, Jordan?
No, I mean just the alien. I love alien stuff, so I agree with that. I'll watch any movie or documentary about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like, I try to watch Bigfoot. What a load of crock! That stuff is so ridiculous. Every time they go out into the forest, they like call out and they're like, "Oh, did you hear that noise?" And it's like, I guess that was as much proof as we're gonna get of Bigfoot tonight. I'm like, this is so ridiculous.
Oh, witches is a fun one too. I like movies about witches.
Bigfoot and witches, yeah. Or like, I've heard other weird ones too, where they're like, I remember people saying like airplanes flying overhead. You know how they have those big clouds that stream behind? They think they're like distilling chemicals and like crop dusting the land of like mind controlling devices or chemicals.
I guess I do love the idea of like the government, you know, like essentially like, you know, killing and hiding all these secrets and stuff that they're, you know.
But that's not a conspiracy theory. That's real.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, good point.
Seriously, dude, when you catch on to the intelligence agency, you know, and the intelligence community, man, they'll have you taken out, dude. Oh, you heard it here first, folks. Anyway, great conspiracy theories. Fun movie. All right, folks, this is Futro Hidden Movie Gems signing off. Peace.
Bye.